What's rest?
God, I don't know, but I need some.
When you texted me, I asked Stevie this morning, I was like, so what are we talking about on the podcast today? And you said how to rest and restore your body. What landed us in that conversation bucket?
Well, most of the things that we end up talking about usually stem from or springboard from what I'm
Yeah.
currently facing or going through, or conversations I've been having with other people that just seem to be predominant.
Yeah.
And I am just feeling extremely exhausted. Right? Like yesterday, my actual physical body felt as if I had just got done with a weekend long CrossFit event, like that level of fatigue. And so I thought, well, that's a really important topic for people, and not just me personally, but in the world at large. We have glorified busy and hard work to the detriment of
Grind.
action. Yeah, the
Yeah.
grind, and you got to be a badass, and you got to go, and like even that's all the way from the mom world of I got to be frantic. I get up in the morning and I slam down my coffee, and then I take my kids to school, and then I pick them up, and then I take them to sports, and all the busy, right? All the way to working professionals where it's just got to be it's like a badge of honor being busy.
Yeah.
And it's not a badge of honor. And I want to make it really clear for people that when I talk about the busyness in my life, it isn't just frantic busy. It's very intentional busy because I'm on a really steep slope of growth right now. So that's kind of what prompted it.
Cool.
And then I'll tell you a story about a gal that was getting her hair done next to me yesterday, and that was in the back of my head too.
Okay. Well, yeah, I want to first kind of understand what your philosophy or definition of what is rest and restoration.
Number one, it has to actually be effective. So tuning out and binge watching Netflix is distraction. That's not rest and rejuvenation. So first and foremost, it has to be the effectiveness of it.
Again, intentional.
You got it.
Yep. And what is that like? Do you have a list of restorative, or it's like, I know my body needs X?
So in my 30s and probably even midway through in my 40s, I was all about lists. Like I needed to quantify things. As I've moved into a deeper level of self-actualization, working alongside like true polymaths like Dr. Ian McGilchrist, where I've done a ton of study and learning amongst genuine geniuses, that I now understand we should not be quantifying everything, and we should get away from lists, and that's actually not a human experience. Like that's
interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
Which maybe one of these days, like later, after we've got the podcast really going and people have an opportunity to slowly dabble in the learning, we can go into maybe record a session on right hemisphere and left hemisphere thinking and what that really means. It's not the pop culture version of like, oh, I'm right hemisphered and you're left hemisphered. But I would love to get into that. So I don't keep lists of what I do. I just now am at a point where I understand my body and what my body is saying to me. And I'm wise enough to listen to it and not tell it to shut up.
When you're in a season like this, because you are in an absolute sprint right now, and there's not really opportunity to be like, well, it's time to rest. Like, what does that look like in those seasons? Or is it just a knowing that this is temporary?
So I give myself adequate bouts and pieces of rest in every day. So no matter how full my day is, I still wake up at the same time and immediately go outside and let my chickens out and feed them and talk to them. And just right that is a game changer in my mind.
Gotcha.
It's like I wake up and it's somewhat dark and it's like I feel exhausted. This is right now. And then I mix up their food and walk outside. Oh, fresh air. It's cool. Chickens. I'm like, nope, I feel really great.
When,
So my daily routine involves rest and rejuvenation. It's not frantic paced. There's most times too many things for me to try to have to do in the day or that require my attention for me to actually get done. But I don't skip. I don't skip the prayer. I don't skip the meditation. I don't skip the roll out my yoga mat on my porch for 5 minutes. None of that gets skipped.
Yep.
And then the same thing at the close of my day. The decompression, the taking a daily inventory, listening to something that helps me unwind, and then lights out. Those bookends are on my day no matter what.
when do you feel like that became non-negotiable? Because this isn't your first season of insane sprint.
No.
And so when did that become a non-negotiable?
It started in my sobriety.
Yeah.
Because when you are working for a sober life, you have to be willing to do whatever it takes. And so it's not negotiable. You just have to take that time for yourself, or you're not going to be able to stay sober. And I use sobriety for me, but that could be getting sober in any area of your life. Sober around what you're consuming in food. Sober around being intentional with your living and the people that you care about versus just being frantic, right? So sobriety is actually not abstinence from alcohol. Sobriety is getting sober in your life. And mine just happened to be prompted by an addiction to alcohol.
Which the cost is also a really important part to speak about, which is neglecting the rest. What do you feel like is that cost of neglecting or staying busy in the grind? Like, what do you feel like people don't know about the repercussion of not scheduling intentional rest?
Well, I think people have absolutely no idea that it actually is taking years off of their life. I'm willing to share a little story. So I have been dealing with, so I drank too heavily for too many years. And prior to that, I really abused my body through my competitive sports career.
Yeah.
Right? People don't realize the toll that training 5-6 hours a day, we've brushed on that there's sport right on the end of the spectrum that is nearly equally as destructive as being morbidly obese, right? Because the under the hood looks really bad. So years of competitive CrossFit wreaked a lot of hormonal damage. And then several years of drinking too heavy wreaked havoc on hormones, liver function. And so I've just been working my way out of that hole that I dug for myself, really. And according to Dr. TJ, actually my years of CrossFit were probably more of the detrimental impact to my current health situation than just a couple of years of drinking too heavy. Interesting for all of you excessive exercisers. Now, to say that, I wouldn't change it. Let me be sure to get that across. I wouldn't change any of that because it is worth the cost of admission to me. Right?
Yeah.
So I've been dealing, what people don't realize is if your liver function isn't optimal, that's actually determines your cardiac health because your liver is actually what's filtering your blood, right? So when your liver function isn't optimal, what is happening is you have like large particles in large cells that are going through your arterial walls, right?
Okay.
And they're scraping, right? Because if your liver isn't filtering properly, the way Dr. TJ describes it, which is such a great visual, is you're basically like running sandpaper through the inside of your vessels. That's what causes coronary artery disease, heart disease, and heart attacks, just so you know. It's not fat from meat. Right? Let's just get that out of there. It's not fat. Like dietary fat isn't fat that runs through your vessels. Not even close, right? So my liver function was less than optimal. So my cardiac panel is actually amazingly scary. And we've been working on it now for 5 years, and it just really wasn't getting better. And it got slightly better, and then it just kind of stalled out. And it was around the time that I opened the cafe in June, I was feeling really not good. There was a day that I was in the kitchen with my husband and I was like, I actually think I'm having a heart attack. And so I don't want you to go to work. And he's like, oh God, are you serious? And I said, no, I'm really serious. There was a crazy tightening in my chest and then like this radiating tight, not good. I'm like, oh, fuck. That's what they say a heart attack feels like. And I think I actually might be having a heart attack. And I'm so far from like a fatalist in my health.
Yep.
So he didn't go to work and it slowly passed, but I just overall didn't feel good and I knew something was wrong. So me and TJ kind of went back to the drawing board and he said, you know what we need to do is we need to do a neurotransmitter test. I didn't even know what that was.
Yeah.
Right. And so we got that test done. It was just a simple urine test throughout the day, measuring it in your urine. Got the results back and come to find out I pretty much like was near having serotonin syndrome, which I don't even know what serotonin syndrome is before this. So it can actually be fatal.
And does that mean that you're just not producing enough serotonin?
No, I'm producing so much serotonin.
Oh.
And that's why I felt like I had the gas on and the brake on at the same time. Like my anxiety was through the roof. I was just drenched in sweat at night. But I'm also like gone through menopause. And so I was like, oh, it's hot flashes. I didn't know. I'm talking like ring out, like having to wash the sheets several times a week. So when TJ got a hold of me, he was like, holy shit, Evie. Like a normal serotonin level was like in the hundreds. Mine was like 400 and something. So we're talking serotonin syndrome can actually be fatal and kill you. So that's not good.
No, unideal, truly.
Right?
Yeah. What does one combat that with?
So you have to regulate your nervous system.
The cost.
The cost, right? So some people may not be at that extreme, right? But I'm just giving you the extreme example of me who's actually walking around perfectly healthy, right? I exercise, I walk, I keep my stress low, supposedly. Do my best to. But without that test, we wouldn't have known what was going on.
Right.
But it's a great indicator about addressing your nervous system is first and foremost, which is why I say just escaping with Netflix isn't going to calm your nervous system, right? That's just distracting you. And it could arguably even increase the stress.
Yeah.
Depending on what you're watching.
For sure.
Yep.
Wow. I know lists aren't the ideal, but we actually have a list of, we call them NSRs, nervous system regulators.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like if you find yourself a little buzzy throughout the day or whatever, it's like there's a 20-second hug. You can go lay in the grass, get like sunshine on your face, but a list of things that are, I know this will bring me back to center. And so.
Oh, I love that. And don't get me wrong, I don't not like lists. It's just that I just feel like we definitely don't need to be quantifying everything we do. The ultimate goal is to just get in tune with our body where we're like, oh yeah, I'm just going to take off my shoes because I know that's what I need.
Yep.
Right? But lists are a starting place because people have to start with some pragmatic and tactical pieces if they're going to address these things that we talk about.
For sure. And the awareness. I think writing stuff down is such an amazing way to bring awareness to whatever it is that you're trying to become more thoughtful around, is to be able to just see it in front of you.
Absolutely.
Cool.
So all of that, I ended up going in for a couple of scans and stuff just to make sure that I didn't have some really looming cardiac event that was going to happen immediately. Right. And this is really cool to find out that through this imaging scan that I had done, for one, we found out I had an irregular heartbeat because once they got me on the table, it was like, what is going on? Do you have AFib? And I'm like, well, fuck, I don't know. Not that I know of, but I also didn't know I was about to die of serotonin syndrome either. So, you tell me.
Yeah.
Right? I don't have AFib. The irregular heartbeat was caused from the just absolutely skyrocketing high levels of serotonin. Mm-hmm. But my plaque score was 0. 0. Like I have 0 plaque buildup. So this whole time that we've been seeing these really bad cardiac markers, it was all coming from a neurotransmitter, which was serotonin. So it had nothing to do with plaque. It had nothing to do with anything other than the fact that my nervous system was really dysregulated. And my serotonin was through the roof.
Would you have considered yourself really busy prior to all of this understanding?
Busy as in just,
Kind of the buzz about without the real thoughtful, like your bookends per se.
no, I was doing my bookends and
Wow.
everything. Yes. And once the serotonin was like flooded into my system, now keep in mind when TJ said this is years of CrossFit, then a couple of years of heavy drinking, the CrossFit was probably more detrimental.
Yeah.
That's hard for people to believe, but it is real. He was like, you've just really kind of mistreated your body in ways over the years. And we pay the price for that, right? No matter how we're mistreating our body. Lack of sleep, lack of exercise, eating the wrong foods, lots of stress. Like, we're going to have consequences. And I'm 52 years old now, right? So it's just at a certain age, all of that does catch up with you.
Yeah.
And so once we had those really drastically high levels of serotonin, we had to kind of flush them out. And so he used some like natural herbal remedies and stuff for that.
Gotcha.
Yes, that I
Okay.
won't share because then people start thinking, oh, that sounds like me and I'm going to take that too. And that's just stupid. So we don't want to go there. All right.
Nope.
So about 2 weeks on this protocol that he put me on, and we flushed so much of the serotonin. We haven't done a measurement again yet. We will probably in another month or two. But the night sweats went away.
Wow.
My racing heart went away. No more chest kind of, holy shit, I'm having a heart attack pains. My headaches were gone. So we had to just do a flush of that serotonin out of my system, which we were effective in doing. And then since then, I've even been more intentional, not just the bookends, but throughout the day, making sure I'm doing some breathing exercises to address my nervous system dysregulation.
Yep. You also, one thing I feel you do really well is you're rarely in a rush. You have 1,000,000,001 things to do on your plate and never, like, the list never done. But no matter what you're showing up to, it's not in a rushed, frantic energy. It is, okay, I'm landed here now. You do that really well.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I used to not. When I was 30, I thought I was really important, and so I had to rush into the room and tell everybody about why I was late, and now I'm just late.
Sure.
And it's because I actually really do have a super full schedule, and I closed on a building today, had an investor call, had a realtor call, like we did our live. I drove out here, like had my team, right?
Right.
So I'm usually about 10, 15 minutes behind schedule, but I'm not going to give a big frantic.
No.
There's a lot of false sense of self-importance in that. Right? Just so you know, if you're young and you run into a meeting or a business meeting with someone or someone's giving you a meeting and you act that way, it's a big turnoff to people that are actually settled in themselves. They're like, yeah, you're not that important. We don't need to hear about why you were late and held us all up. Just a
That is a great little tidbit.
pointer. Yeah, if
Which-
anybody comes into an interview with me or something like with that, I'm like, it's already a strike against you.
And it just brings such, it's there now.
Bad
too.
vibration. It's bad
Yeah.
energy into the room.
I'm now also feeling rushed and like we have to catch up.
And you clenched your cheeks, like
Yeah.
you clenched your mouth, and nobody wants to feel like that.
No.
Right.
Which, bit of a side quest here, but per that what you just said, if anyone at that age, if you could go back and speak to 30-year-old you around the way you spend time, like what would you be offering her?
God, where to start? A lot of things.
For sure.
It would be along the lines of paying attention to just being where your feet are. Mhm. When you're in that accumulation phase of your life, and we all go through that, right? It's
Yep.
when you're in that accumulation phase, you're kind of always just thinking about what's out there instead of just being present where you are. And I think that's especially true for like moms of young children, right? Like that's a lot of work. And a lot of it isn't very fun unless you're just definitely like born to just be a mom and you love it and that's what you want to do. And but that's not the majority of people. The majority of people, we love children and we want to have kids. But like for me, I never really wanted to just watch Scarlett ride our circular driveway on her Y bike. Like I was like, someone put me out of my misery. Right?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm like changing diapers and screaming kids and right? It's like having to leave a restaurant early and all that stuff, right? So you get kind of almost anxious for all of these things that are coming, right?
Yeah.
Anxious for school age and parties, but not to lose attention to just being where your feet are and being grateful for that.
That was a great piece. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Well, what about this on it? I love this conversation because it brings us back to the first one we ever really got into, which is a bit of the blend, but rest in leadership and entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Because that balance, as we know, does not exist. And so what would you offer to like leaders or entrepreneurs who have a sense of guilt around rest?
Well, so you can't give anything to anybody, especially your team, if you don't have it, right? So if you're depleted of energy, you're not bringing any energy to your team. You actually are probably unknowingly pulling their energy down. Right? I'll notice myself doing that. I was in a kind of just a like frantic place about 2 weeks ago, and my emails to my team were all just like, right? That's not good. I'm really just bringing the morale down and I'm transferring that tiredness and exhaustion onto my team. So there's a difference again. If I'm just doing nothing and I'm just going to lay in front of the TV, that's not a good example for my team. But if my team sees me being very intentional and caring for myself, when I shared with a couple of them on the team, like, this is what I'm going through with this cardiac situation, and we got to make sure that I'm not going to like drop dead tomorrow. Like, that'll change some business decisions. I'm teasing, but really, like you
At the extreme.
at the extreme, yeah,
sure.
right. You got to make sure that shit's not real. They all then get behind that, and then they realize the importance of taking care of themselves too. So when you're a leader and you're properly taking care of yourselves, the people that you're leading will do the same.
Do you have an example of like a prominent ripple when that happened within your company?
Well, I can tell you that there's someone in high leadership within our company that is going through this massive personal growth phase, and it's beautiful to watch. This is worth shouting out to Life with Kate. So for those of you that are interested in this conversation around regulating your nervous system, Life with Kate, that's her Instagram. It's Kate Murphy. I actually pay for her program. And I don't get coached by really anybody anymore, except now someone new. But I don't buy programs and all that kind of stuff because I've been in that space for a long time. But I bought hers, and I highly recommend it. I recommend it to all my friends. I think it's like $25 a month. It's really affordable, and it is beautiful. The work she is doing, it's well informed. She has actual experts in there. And so I've watched someone on our team starting to go through that program, and it's so cool.
That is so cool. And a great ripple.
Yep. I do want to take just a second to make sure that people understand just kind of the basics of your central nervous system.
Please. Yeah.
Go into that a little bit. So your CNS, your central nervous system, you're going to have your fight or flight.
Yeah.
Right? Which is your sympathetic nervous system.
Okay.
And then your parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest and digest. Okay? And there's a measurement of heart rate variability, HRV. I used to have the equipment at my gym that we would measure people's heart rate variability. They use it in like the NICU to see how babies are developing heart rate variability to decide like when they're able to go home. And that HRV is a measurement between your body's ability to go fluidly between your sympathetic and your parasympathetic nervous system, right? It's that balance of like, I can go from parasympathetic to sympathetic, back into parasympathetic beautifully.
Sure.
Right? Because of our modern world, we're usually in this constant fight or flight, this sympathetic nervous system.
Mm.
Heart rate variability is directly correlated to your longevity. So you have to regulate your nervous system and your ability to flow in and out of that fight or flight and rest and digest. And that is a catastrophic kind of place we're at in the modern world, is that we're all up here going 1,000,000 miles an hour, right? We're attached to a device. We're standing while we eat. We're eating in the car.
Yep.
We're slamming food down, not paying attention to it while we're answering emails. All of those things keep us in our sympathetic nervous system at all times.
Mm.
And then we wonder why we can't sleep at night, right? It's because your sympathetic nervous system is still firing. So when I talk about nervous system regulation, I'm talking about the ability to flow between those two states.
Mm. What did that rewiring look like? Like when you were coming out of a really consistent state of?
I still monitor right now. I'm not into tracking things, but because of this kind of
Sure.
cardiac scare that I had, the serotonin syndrome, I did end up getting a whoop because I'm watching my heart rate variability. And so long as I go to bed and wake up at the same time every day, and so long as I don't cut any of those bookend things short, my heart rate variability is just spot on.
Wow.
The minute I have to do a flight back, I've been in New York a bunch, so coming back,
Mhm.
that time change puts my sleep consistency all the way down to like 72% just because of the 3-hour time change, and my heart rate variability goes up into like danger zone just from that one day.
Mhm. Wow.
Mhm.
You spoke a bit to this morning. The first thing that people need to be paying attention to is the wake up and go to bed at the same time.
Mhm.
And then there were a few more. Can you remind me what those were? Of like the regulation.
Yes, so making sure that you're getting fresh air and
Mhm.
sunlight on your face.
Yep.
Right? Connecting to yourself before you connect to the world. That one is everything.
Preach.
Right? You've got to connect and check in with you before you check in with the outside world. Otherwise, you're just handing over your health and your well-being to whatever's out there. And whatever's out there doesn't have your best interest at heart, even if it's your coworkers and everything else. That isn't, right? You have your best interest at heart. And so you have to check in with yourself first.
Yeah. I just think I think back to a time when this was so unknown and it was like, what does checking in with self even mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it really is just so simple, but it feels, I think, so out of reach when you have been in this very consistent fight or flight because it's home. Like you're so comfortable in this sense of terrifiedness really is what it is. And then to be like, well, just check in with yourself. It's like, I have no idea what I
What
feel
does that
like.
even mean?
Yeah. And so I think just bringing a sense of curiosity again to that conversation, which is like, what are the things that make you feel that way? Those are some great ones to lean on. But offering grace, if there's anyone listening who is like, what the heck does that even mean?
Yeah.
It's a slow start, but I appreciate you delving into
And
that.
it can be as short as, say, if you've got a new baby, right? Where, yeah.
Life's going to be weird.
Right. It's not going to be
Yeah.
about you at that point, and that's all right. But even if it's lay your baby down after nursing or given a bottle and they go to sleep for a few minutes and lay down and put your hands on your own heart and feel like that you are your own being, right? There's a heart beating in there. And all life begins and ends when that heart stops, we're done, right?
Yep.
And there's something really powerful about just putting that thought into your mind and then feeling the presence of your own heart beating within you. It can be that simple, and it really is that simple. Those are starting places, and you can be a frazzled new mom and still do those things.
which is a great touch on sort of the seasons of life. Like, do you think of periods like this where you're in a full sprint? Like, is that kind of a designated focus? And then will you go through a proportionate rest, per se, when this is to a more coasting point than it is right now?
No, so it can't wait. So this week I realized, so I've just been going
Right.
a lot. Like when people say like, "Oh, what are you going to do this weekend?" I'm like,
Same
gonna
thing
do
I
the
did
same
on
thing
Wednesday.
I do every fucking day,
Yeah.
right? Genuinely.
Yeah.
So I don't have days off.
Mhm.
Period. But I'm at a point right now where I was saying my body feels so physically tired that it isn't an option. So I just have to look at my schedule. Like over the next week, I won't because I've got travel. I'm going to Minneapolis for a conference, and then I go straight to Tucson. We go to Tucson for that metabolic health conference. At the tail end of that, I was supposed to be going to Europe. I had a change of plans because I had an opportunity to present itself that I'm not going to pass up. And so instead, I'm flying back to New York. I'll be there for a couple of days, and then Casey's meeting me there. And I am going to take like 3 days to go to this place up in Maine that I absolutely love and completely unplug because I need to. I can feel headaches kind of starting to come back, and that's not good. And for me, having disrupted nervous system and that serotonin that sneaks back up, when I'm getting headaches and don't feel well, I need to actually pay attention to that. So it is like it can wait.
Sure.
And then going into that, I'm just going to structure everything to make sure no balls get dropped.
Okay.
So when your body's talking to you, you can't ignore it. That's the point, right? You can't ignore it.
Okay. I'm glad you brought it up. Have you heard of the book Visualize? I'm blanking on the author right now, but it's called Visualize: How to Think, Feel, and Perform Like the Top 1%.
No.
I think you'd love it. But she operates on this idea that there's kind of 3 cycles or seasons, because she speaks a lot. She works a lot with like top 1% athletes and like business people, so on and so forth. And they go through like massive seasons of work. Like I love hearing Michael Phelps speak about like when he's in his top of training. Like it is 365. Like there is not a time that he's not pushing for this. But then you go into a state of rest and recover. So in a sense of proportion, but it doesn't stop. But there is a lessening or a retraction of like the intensity of it. And then third cycle being the one of like the growth. And this is where I think is the blend of it's still an active participation in, whatever thing is that you're pushing so hard for, but with enough zoomed out perspective of where does my growth or shift need to happen within either my training or in my execution. And so that is sort of the cycle, like a go work, push, harvest, rest. And so just curious if that landed with you or if yours feels different.
Well, I think it depends on really how you're kind of wired naturally, right? So I'm a big Tim Grover fan, right? And in Relentless, he'll explain whether you're a cooler, a closer, or a cleaner. And I'm a cleaner, right? So that just means that I really am never satisfied with anything. Like, I used to want to try to escape that or relate it to something like, why can't you ever be happy where you are? What's wrong with you? Like it's the God-sized hole in you. That isn't actually true.
Right.
It just really is how I'm wired.
Who you are.
Yeah, it's who I am.
Yep.
And so if you decide that's who you are, then there really isn't the luxury of I'm just going to take seasons of rest. And it isn't possible. Really.
Yep.
Like I use sports analogies a lot, but professional athletes don't just have this, well, I'm going to just take a little bit of a break. That isn't the way it works. They take a break when they're done with that season of their life.
Right.
Or they just don't get to play anymore. And that's how I feel professionally. I don't get to just take a break because this is the season and this is my season. And I'm going to bring my A game and I'm going to train all the time, right? But I'm also, it would be if I was an athlete still, right? I would train my ass off and I would work my ass off, but I would still ice bath and sauna and see a massage therapist.
Right.
That's the rest portion. Right? But if you're wired for, I really want a good life, but I am satisfied. At the end of something, I feel like, okay, I did that and now I can go home and just decompress. That's a totally different deal.
Sure.
This conversation made me think about Naval Ravikant, talking about just the modern work world, right? That we really, if you think of lions, we are designed like a lion. We're meant to hunt and hunt hard and then rest. And then hunt and then rest. And the 40-hour work week of grinding, no wonder it feels so bad, is because that's actually not how we're wired. And I agree. The trouble is for most people are like, well, yeah, well, what the fuck am I supposed to do about that? Because last time I checked, I have a mortgage and a car payment and kids to put through school.
Right.
But his projection is that in the future, and I agree with this, I think of you often in this, right? Like where you've constructed a company for yourself, where you can do hunting like a lion and then you'll be able to rest. And I think it's something really cool in people your generation.
Sure.
I met a really great gal when I went through that ayahuasca experience in Peru. Her name was Vasi, just lovely girl. She lives, she was Ukrainian and moved by herself when she was 16 to the United States and just set up shop in Chicago, and she lives. She put herself through school. So anybody that says you can't do whatever you want, oh yeah, I got a girl named Vasi to introduce you to. Stunning, inside and out, really independent. She travels like nobody's business. She works remotely. Right? It's beautiful. So she hunts and then she rests, and then she hunts like a lion again, and then she rests. So seeing that in the new younger generation and workforce, I think it's really cool. And I'm envious of it.
Yeah.
Right? Like my generation, we just didn't even think that way.
Well, and I think we get to do that because we watched your generation and we've seen. It's okay. It's okay. Everything is fine.
One camera that we've been having a little bit of issues with. Now we look fine. Okay.
Okay. I think our generation gets to operate that way because we watched your generation pound themselves into dysregulated nervous systems and truly a sense of unfulfillment. Like there's been kind of a confusion between purpose and productivity. And truly that was the entire basis behind our company, was how do we design a life and a business thoughtfully that supports not only financial gain, but also fulfillment. Like this idea that everything can be a blend was everything that was the basis of the company. It was like we had genuinely no clue what we were going to do, but it was, we're going to find the right people, hunt, if you will, and push with them. Like I love our partnership. It's an insane, like, when people are like, what do you do? Like, well, today I'm going to go record a podcast. And it's part of it. Like, we just get to be these catalysts for people making great impact. And it's just, I'm pumped to see more of that because your generation did walk through it. And it was like, turns out that kind of sucked.
Yeah.
You're waiting to retire, waiting to live. No
Yeah,
time.
I'm going to work here. I'm going to get my pension. Then I'm going to retire. And then what are you going to do? Right? Like, be equally dissatisfied.
Then I'll travel.
Right? Then I'll travel. Right? But if you lived the standard American lifestyle and you
Right.
ate the standard American diet, good luck with that because you're going to be fucking dead in 10 years. Right? Really.
Yeah.
And I agree. Your generation did watch that. And where for a while it was going sideways for your generation was like, I'm not doing that. But it's like, well, okay, but what's your plan? Because you can't
do
just
something.
you can't do nothing, right? You're like, oh yeah, we don't want to work that grind like you, but you still have to work and figure out something. And that was where a lot of people in your generation got stuck in this loop of, well, now I just wait tables forever, and what am I going to do? Because I'm not going to be part of that. It's like, well, how's that working for you? Because you still have bills to pay.
For sure.
So I feel like your generation is moving in this direction of, yeah, I don't want that, but now I do know what I do want.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to kind of first figure out, what do I not want, and then what do I want, and start working towards that.
You bet. The anti-vision is equally as important.
Absolutely.
What the run from is as important as the run to.
Yep.
And then as everything we talk about, that middle ground is really where you find it. It's, I know what I don't want. There's enough essence of what I do.
Mhm.
How do I make both?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a really fun time to be alive. Right now
Agreed.
feels like a new renaissance of just create literally whatever you want.
Mhm.
And so I think we got to be having conversations like this where people have permission to just get really curious about, what does my life by design look and feel like created.
Love
that topic. Okay. Per just kind of this essence of timing, where you're looking with what you're growing into over the coming, 2 months, but year, we'll call it. Does that have a sense of overwhelm, or does it feel like, just where does that land for you in the sense of, is rest coming?
This is how I feel.
Mm.
I feel like I was in my workshop and I built this little boat. It's really pretty and it had all this cool intentions of where it was going to go. And I set it out onto the ocean. And now this little boat is in this really big ocean. And we all know what the waves look like in the middle of the ocean, right? And my options are to just keep on sailing this little boat or drown. That's it. So drowning isn't an option for me, period. Right? Like, failure is an option because everybody has to fail, or you can get like me where I don't see anything as failure. I just don't. Things happen to be redirected is not a failure, right? That's just not how I see the world, right? But drowning isn't an option, period. So it's just keep on sailing this little beautiful boat across the fucking ocean.
Yeah.
That's the only option.
Sure. I think when people do for the first time come up against that true sink or swim, the fear is bigger than the waves of, does this end? And it's not ending. It is, does it get to continue? And that is the choice. But per what we talked about with the book ending, there is always a blend of how you hold it in the moment and not lose it to the fear. Love it. What else, just when you were thinking about today's topic, what was something else you really wanted to ensure that you just got to speak on?
I think the most important for people to realize is that resting is not weakness.
Mm.
Right? Resting is necessary. And there can be different degrees of it, like I just explained. Maybe it's 2 minutes of putting your hands on your heart while your infant's asleep, right? All the way to, you know what, I need to step away from whatever I'm doing right now because it's overwhelming me and I need an actual break from this.
Yep.
That is not weakness. Self-care is not weakness. And if anything, it's the complete opposite. It's an indication of how strong you are, right? How strong you are in your resolve to do the things that you say you want to do, and you know that rest is a part of that.
Which, couple of things there. Self-care. So do you just take a bubble bath every day?
I hate baths. You know that about me?
I do know
You
that
know
about
that?
you.
Fucking hate baths. Like, who wants to float around in their own fucking dead skin cells and hairs and
We've
shit?
never
I
talked
hate
about it.
Baths. I hate baths.
We have never talked about it, but I did know that about you. I was like, there's no way she enjoys just sitting in that. But
No.
define self-care, because it's ugly, actually. True self-care is not pretty. it's a lot of real hard looks, and it can look great. Massage is like there's
For
a lot of it.
sure.
Would you define
And
your self
yeah,
care?
there's some different levels and different aspects of your self care. Like, what part of yourself are you caring for?
Yes.
Right? Is it your mental state and is it your mental well being? Well, that is a lot of work, right? Because tuning out and distractions is not mental health care, right? Figuring out who you really are, figuring out what you really want with your life, figuring out how to hand people back their own fucking luggage and stop carrying it for other people. That's mental health. Right? So that is work.
You bet.
And I am a firm believer that you can't really do that work all on your own, right? I think I've talked about it in the past, but I'm a Christian. So the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, right? So the Father is God,
Yep.
right? The Son is us on earth, and the Holy Spirit are all of those in community with us. And you have to have all three of those parts. So I think it's important to encourage people that doing mental health on your own is very difficult. Right?
We all need a therapist.
You need a therapist.
Yep.
Like, you need
We all
someone
do.
to talk to, right? And yes, you can talk to God, but again, I just use the Trinity, right? There's other people on this planet with us, and we are supposed to be in community and using their expertise and their gifts to help each other. So if they're the right therapist for you, will use their gifts to help you.
For sure.
So I don't think the mental health aspect is something that should be attempted on your own. I just don't.
And a willingness to be in new circles. That I think is so important to the conversation around like mental health, because it's important to talk to other people, because if you're just in your own head or with God, it's a bit of an echo chamber.
For sure.
Because your brain can trick you into God's words, your words, like
Oh yeah.
out loud.
Whose voice is that really in there?
Exactly.
Probably yours.
And so
Your ego's strong.
and loud.
Yeah.
So loud. And so to be put in rooms with new people, I got to tell you this story per what you just said about when people let stuff dump all over you. The very first time I hung out with John Devine, he sat down and I was like telling him all these issues I was having. And I was like, I just can't seem to like get in a better state. And like my vibe is so low. And he was like, Hattie, I'm going to tell you something. And it is, you are a beautiful piece of property that you have allowed for people to turn you into a garbage dump. He was like, all day long. And that was my reality.
Wow.
People would text me like, I just need to vent. And I'd just open right up. And it was so heavy and just gross. And I had never met someone or encountered another being who was just willing to say, like, you have to be in control of what you're allowing people to dump on you. I didn't know that. I didn't know that that was something I could control. And so that's the parts that I speak to of being ugly about self-care. That stuff is hard and those ropes are tough to cut. I know you've been comfortable dumping here for years. Not open anymore. It's just, and so that was an important part of the self-care piece I wanted to touch on.
Yeah. And I always actually have thought it was one of my gifts is my selfishness is actually a gift that I give back to other people that give them permission to be quote unquote selfish, because it's not selfish to take care of yourself, right? It's not selfish to make other people carry their own luggage, right? And I love that visual, right? Because if you're going on a trip with everybody, are you going to carry their bags or are they going to carry their bags? That's what everybody, even in your own family, has to do. They all have to get, here's your fucking suitcase. You get to carry yours, and look at me, I'm carrying mine. And then together we all go on this beautiful trip, right? Can't be carrying other people's luggage. And when, especially in women's circles, because it's a very strong feminine trait, right? A feminine essence to want to caretake, and
I'll get it.
I
yeah.
just don't have that gene. Right?
Yeah.
I have a very strong masculine essence, and I didn't get that part of the feminine essence. I just don't have it. I don't have the whole, I'm going to take care of you and I'm going to do all that shit. Absolutely not. I've always just been like, I'm on my plan. And I think sometimes from the outside world that can be misconstrued as like a harshness or a lack of caring. It is absolutely not. I'm just very strong in my own understanding that I take care of me and then I can help you more.
You do it.
Yeah,
and
and
you
it
do
is a
well.
gift that I have to give to people.
Yep.
Honestly, it's like, yeah, don't stop putting everybody else first.
Being around you has been such a great teacher of what it does look like to respect yourself in your own time. That was something I had no problem giving away for a long time, was my time, effort, and energy. And then spending time with you, it's like I get annoyed when people waste your time.
Yeah, I'm like, going to give you my time? What the fuck? I don't have anything in my
Mhm.
life more important than my time. It's the
Yep.
only thing I have that is completely limited. And I don't know when it's going to all expire. Right? Yeah, you're not taking my time.
No.
No.
And it's never rude though. It is, I have a lot to do. Thank you for this. Like, it doesn't have to be harsh. Your masculine is prominent and very powerful, but it's not mean. It's really not even all that intense. Like, one of my favorite things about you is how fiercely and directly you protect yourself and your brand. It is, you have outlined your values and an understanding of where you are best focused. And anything that derives from that, it's such an easy filter for you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right, it doesn't have to be rude. There was a time, for a while, I was getting, I think when we first opened Kopow here, I was getting inundated with messages on social media. Could I take you for a cup of coffee and we could, and then at some point, just a selfie kind of recording said, hey, like, I think it's really great that you like my advice and my energy, but asking me to go for a cup of coffee with you because you kind of want to pick my brain is like saying, I'm going to give you $4.50 for all the last 30 years of hard work and wisdom you've done, and I'll buy you a cup of coffee. I'm like, that is the worst approach with me, and the answer will always be no. And most of the time, I won't even respond to the message. And it worked because people stopped doing it.
Yeah.
I can't tell you the last time that I got a message saying, can I take you for coffee? Mm-mm. And people
Yeah.
didn't unfollow me and think I was an asshole. Like, it was
Right.
just, I needed to say, I'm not going for coffee with you. That's just, you
Yep.
may be a lovely person. I'm sure you are, but I don't do coffee with people, and especially to pick my brain. That's, yeah, again, younger generation, if you're looking for mentors or advice. I love when people ask me for, genuine advice. I've got this situation. What would you do? I'm very likely to answer that.
Yeah.
If you just say, I want to pick your brain, just so you know, don't ever say that to anybody, like ever. I want to pick your brain. The answer is always going to be no, or you're just going to go delete.
What is that? The specific ask. But yeah, like, per cultivating more of the spirit, the community, what do those connections look like where people, just opportunities in your own life where it has been a reach out that's been like, duh, would love to do that.
It's always a genuine, vulnerable ask for help. If you genuinely tell me you need help with something, I'm happy to lend some advice, right? Even give you a little time. But if it's just a very broad, I really love what you do, can I pick your brain? No. I would prefer to be able to play a card game with my daughter tonight, right?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think, is there anything else around the topic of rest? Because there's different types. There's so much. This is an infinite topic, obviously. But anything that you'd be bummed to leave without speaking.
Well, just the different aspects of rest. Mental health, we address that, right? Physical rest, where your body, like right now, my body's just tired, right? And giving yourself rest to just step into being on your own, right? So closing out the outside world, right? So there's the mental health aspect of it. There's the physical health, like taking care of your actual physical body. And then there's the complete decompression from, I need to turn off the outside world and completely unplug. And I really encourage people to do that. I used to do one full day out of the week. It was like tech-free Tuesdays. And I led people through that process, and I did it. I can't turn off all my technology on a Tuesday right now. I look forward to getting back to that time. But having one day out of the week where I'm talking completely tech free, that means no phone, no computer, no emails for one whole day. For most people, that's actually doable. Right? Uh-huh. Oh, and before we go, I got to tell you this about the gal. I was
Oh,
getting
yeah,
my hair
next
done.
to you.
Yes, I was getting my hair done yesterday. This is a great closing example of when you're just completely disconnected from self, right? And she sat down, and obviously you're close proximity when you're getting your hair done. And she was talking about, the gal who does her hair said, you look like you've lost a lot of weight. And she said, yeah, it'll be like 35 pounds as of such and such date. And she was like, oh, wow. And she said, well, what are you doing? Are you working out? And she goes, oh, no, like I haven't worked out once. It's just being way too busy and really not eating. And I was like, oh, just be quiet, Edie. Don't. She didn't ask for your advice. She's just here to get her hair done. Leave her alone. So I just sat and listened. And they had poured her a mimosa. And she said, no, I'm just so busy right now that all I want to do is just get through my day and get through all my work and have 2 drinks and go to bed.
Oh,
Right. So then she said, well,
that's so sad.
they were mentioning that her hair was falling out on top of that. Right. So, yeah, it was pretty brutal.
One
It was a
thing
pretty
I never
brutal
wanna be-
conversation. And I'm like, your hair's falling out. You don't eat. You lost 35 pounds. And all you want to do is have 2 drinks at the end of the day and go to bed.
Oh,
I'm like, okay.
how sad.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that with judgment, right? I'm just
No.
saying that was an observation, and that is everywhere, right? I'm at a place where I haven't coached people like one-on-one for so long, other than just one client of mine, that I wouldn't even know where to start with that anymore, right?
Yeah.
There gets to be a point where I'm like, I wouldn't even know where to address that, right? Other than lay down and put your hand on your heart for 2 minutes. Or like, I mean,
Girl,
really.
get in the grass. Yeah.
Yeah, put your feet in the grass.
Mm.
So I don't think that is I think that's the norm. I think that's very common.
One thing I never want to be is just getting through. That is so tough. And there's seasons of that, for sure. But man, given any option, and I think there's typically an option to just get to be where your feet are intentionally moving through your day, but just getting by. Like, that statement genuinely sparked like sadness.
Yeah. And if your hair's falling out, that was the biggest thing for me. It's like, if your hair's falling out, what is your body saying to you? Like, your body is actually decomposing, right? If your hair's falling out, something's wrong, right?
Yeah.
And I think, unfortunately, like in our modern world where we glorify the busyness, it was a kind of a bragged up, like, oh yeah, no one else will actually do their part at work. And so I'm doing all the work. And so that was the conversation, right? There was this boastfulness to the busy and complete disconnection from, yeah, but your body's actually completely falling
Begging.
apart. And you do realize that your body is all that keeps you here alive on this earth, right? So I just think it was a shining example of how we have glorified busy, and how we have how we kind of poo-pooed and the rest and the necessity for rest, and made people feel weak if they want to rest. And there isn't anything further from the truth.
No. It's really so powerful to know what you need to show up and operate at your highest level.
And rest is equally as important to all the work that you're doing.
I really loved this conversation.
Me too.
How'd
Thanks.
we do?
Great.
That was,
It's fun.
it's all fun.